Cyber virtual threat, keystroke kill, identity hidden I fulfill. Cyber assassin, that's my prowl. Codes in hand, you'll fall. Hack and strike, chaos I make. Cyber realm, my domain to take.
In this world that we share, we're constantly intaking what we're being fed. There's a story that we're all being told every day. Basically, from the day we're born, we're being told what's going on in the world, what we should think, how we should feel, and then who we should listen to, who we should trust. And it basically starts early and never really ends. And in this life of predisposition, there does really exist an entirely different perspective. I mean, there is definitely constructs that we all live within, and certain people are better suited or better capable for certain missions in life, certain placements. Like, you know, somebody who's more predisposed to work with people may become a nurse or a teacher or something like that, and someone who's more inclined to be interested in technology may go into computers or robotics or something like that. People are predisposed in certain ways towards certain things. Not to say that, you know, everybody does have their own lane. I want to say the predisposition that people hold towards spirituality is typically put into the church, put into God, or, you know, the other side, witchcraft and sorcery, and, you know, all the different esoteric and hidden occult knowledge, you know, Kabbalism, and, you know, all the different Hecate worship and different druidic religions, and, you know, Gnostic teachings, and the Rosicrucians and the Masons, and so many different lines of thought that most has come from the Egyptian, from the Thoth Hermetic teachings. You know, there is a root to all of it, and, you know, reinventing the wheel makes sense when you want to own the wheel. It really does. You know, oh look guys, I came up with this new idea, but it's really not a new idea. A lot of times they're just carving pieces off the larger story that already exists and making a little side religion out of something that's already, you know, a larger construct and encompasses a lot more inclusively all the moving pieces that really make things what they are, you know, life, death, reality, consciousness, spirit, you know, the interplay between the body and the spirit and the mind and the heart and the soul. And you've got all these moving parts within you that all have their own part to play. Like, you are your own symphony orchestra just in your body and your organs and their functions, and them working together right is important for the symphony to sound worth hearing. You know, so inner work has a lot to do with cleansing and, you know, intaking things that are, you know, clean. I mean, obviously a little less meat, more fruits and vegetables, and, you know, cleaner things, you know, less drugs and alcohol and more water and tea and things that cleanse you and clean you and make you more attuned with the right vibration. Because a lot of the key to having any sort of cultivated relationship with spirit is having energy first. You imagine yourself as a vessel and you can only hold so much, right? And that does become a big problem. It's capacity. How much can you hold, or how much can you withstand, or the capacity, the ohm rating. So you have to gain capacity by basically growing. You have to start to harness and hold and cultivate energy in yourself, your own energy, and not waste it. And you have to be mindful. Keeping spirit happy is helping others. It's definitely not being selfish, it's being selfless. Moving forward with the intention of anything that's good for you, hopefully it's good for others as well, when permitted. Sometimes, throw the babes to the wolves and it's you first in certain situations. Don't discount yourself. You have to put yourself first. But at the same time, that's in dire situations. You can't help if you don't exist. But in terms of being in the right place at the right time and doing the right thing, typically if you are doing those things and you're doing the right thing in the right place at the right time, then you're already doing the bidding of spirit. Spirit's put you there. Whatever you're doing is ordained by God. It's ultimately already predestined to be what it is, not written in the stars for the ages. It's defined in the moment because it was intended already, right? And basically spirit has set you to the place that you are. And when you know that you're in the right place, it's because you have deja vu, you have that precognition, that moment of, whoa, I know exactly what you're going to say. I remember me saying this, or remember the whole situation. You have that whole lofty feeling of this, am I awake or am I dreaming? Well, both. Like, you are literally having a moment of crossing realities where your astral spirit self set a moment that blew out both ways to the future and the past, and you can feel it as you're coming through that moment. That spot in time grabs you and you feel the entire moment, and you know it, you feel it, you know the paths in front of you, you know the choices, you know the things that are going to occur from this choice, and you know the things that are going to occur from this choice as you're experiencing and coming up on that moment live time, real time. And that's that deja vu precognition moment, is that awareness of spirit having seeded something that you've come upon the fruit, and that fruit, it's time for the eating. And that's how you know you're in the right place. When that happens, you know you're in the right place at the right time. Even though if you've questioned certain decisions or things that you've done, when you have that clarity moment, that realization moment, it's also an answer. Yes, you are on the path. You're in the right place at the right time. When you're not having those, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not on the path, or you're not right. Maybe it just ultimately is that you are clear with spirit in the moment and on a regular basis, and you don't need to have that touch base like reminder of, oh yeah, you're not just this. You're also spirit. You're also that. You're also what you are when you close your eyes. You're also that. You're also the thing that can see things that aren't here when you close your eyes. You can be somewhere else when you close your eyes. You don't have to be right here until you open your eyes again. And even then, sometimes you can daydream. It's dangerous while you're driving. But definitely holding tight to the ability that we all have in the manifestation of our own destinies, the willful intending of the moments in the future that will be the decisive turning points in our own lives, and a lot of times by proxy others that we know. Those moments that maybe it's not a huge life-altering event, it's just a conversation you're having with friends. And all of a sudden it creeps up on you and you can feel it coming, and then you've been here before. And we've all had it. That's why it has the French name déjà vu. You know, it's definitely a not easily described, just like most things that have to do with spirit. They are indescribable other than in the explaining to the point that you can get to the moment yourself and have a recollection. Once you can recollect it, then you can know what I'm talking about. But if you can't recollect it, if you've never felt it, you might as well have been deaf all of your life and try to experience hearing a specific piece of music. Sound would just be sound for an initial point, I would imagine, if you had never heard. It's the same thing. I mean, I think most of us have that sense. But I question sometimes, you know, those that say they don't dream. We all know that we all dream, right? I mean, if you weren't dreaming, you would literally be insane, because you wouldn't be able to work out the differences of what matters and what doesn't matter. I think this constant tending to the garden of our own personal realities and then the commingling with others, the weeding and the tending to the garden is what happens when we dream. And if you never go there, your garden would cease to be your own. You wouldn't even live in a place that exists for you. You ultimately would be living in someone else's garden, which means you would be, in essence, a slave in someone else's construct. I had a great boss of mine tell me, you know, you do not direct your own fate, you will be giving your fate to someone else to decide for you. Not doing is a decision to give willfully over to someone else's will. It's not a choice of doing or not doing, it's a choice of, if you don't do, you will fall in line with someone else's doing. Because inaction is only a void waiting for someone to fill in. If you do not yourself occupy the dominion, claim domain, someone else will. And then you will be ruled rather than be a ruler in your own construct, like most of us are. Most of us are the chattel, the serfs, the people who pull the plow, keep the machine running by being a cog, while others sit upon the machine and enjoy the ride. Well, I want to say that too is a choice to be a part of the machine rather than take your own fortitude and create your own vehicle, in essence your own dominion. To claim domain is a superpower. People who don't understand dominion and the number 13, well, I'll drop a little cookie down for you. Everybody knows there's not a 13th floor in all these buildings, but there is. It's just you can't get to it. It's utility. Yes, it's widely known 13 is an occult number. And having that 13th floor occupied by people has always been such a problem. They can't even in any building allow it anywhere. Or is it occupied? Is it reserved? These are questions you shouldn't be asking. At any rate, claiming dominion and domain holding space and claiming it. That's where a lot of it begins, because sovereignty is the only place from which you may wield any control over yourself. And only once you can differentiate your will from doing the will of others, like the seeds that have been planted in you and the fruit that you are bearing, that possibly aren't even really the tree that you are. Maybe you were meant to grow pomegranates, but you're growing bananas. Someone caused you by their input to run programs that don't truly fit your capability nor your initiatives. And every once in a while, when you start rooting through these old programs and these old ideologies, you may be able to take the good and the bad and maybe rearrange pieces that fit differently than anybody else ever told you they did. Just like an alchemist playing with powders and waters and adding fire and coming up with new elements. It's the same thing. It's mental alchemy, it's psychological, it's metaphysical. It's causing effect through thought in the real world. Everything starts as thought. Earth was spoken in. Even if you're hardcore Christian Bible, the word was first, and everything was spoken into existence. And still to this day, the most powerful weapon we have, anyone has, is their own voice. And what they say to themselves is the most powerful thing. Because if you're not minding your inner conversation and what you tell to you, you are your own worst enemy. Get control of what you tell you and your inner narrative and what you mean to you. Tell yourself what you really feel about yourself. And if it's bad, work on it until it's good. Tell yourself you're a piece of shit if you're a piece of shit, as long as that causes you to turn a different page and start working on that and become someone that you can look at and say, I'm not perfect. Definitely made some bad decisions. I've hurt people and I've hurt myself, but I have also saved a lot of people. A lot of people in this world literally exist to this day, like breathe air, because of me. I've saved a lot of people's lives that nobody will ever know. Nobody ever needs to know. The people those personal experiences that I've had of saving people are between me and those people that are still alive out there, And then we have also people that are changed by interactions, possibly in negative ways that eventually turn into a positive thing for them, because it's hard to see what people change and thrust upon you. When change is thrust upon you and you're not ready, but circumstance says I don't care, and then all of a sudden big change happens, the tower falls. When that tower falls, you gotta pick up the pieces and build another something out of the pieces. You don't just leave it. If you do, then ultimately you're wasting your time, because you're not getting the point. The point is the lessons, it is the hardships, it is the overcoming, it is what we get out of the struggle is the point. What's the point in life? Experience. What happens, what you do, what you don't do, what others do, what they do not do, and the experiences out of that. It all has frequency